think that I should kind of bring out my hands maybe an inch or two wider so I can really let my chest go through, because sometimes with this big manly chest, it's hard for me to kind of lead with my chest. What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of AM Training. And I first want to thank my sponsor, Burgers and Booties. It's a lifestyle. I'm kidding, I don't have a sponsor, but I have been listening to a lot of podcasts, specifically the Jug Life with the Chad Wesley Smith and Max Ada. I like their podcast. I usually listen to the Powercast, but they've been kind of going off into a tangent with kind of not training as much and not talking about training. Jug Life, they've really focus on a lot of periodization things that will help your training specifically, and it's pretty funny. And I actually stole that little bit. It was actually not Burgers and Booties. I made that one up because alliteration is my illumination. Anyways, it is my just a little rant there, I guess, with I guess my personal life. What's going on with my personal life? Because I don't really talk too much about my personal life, which is a shame, because I know you YouTube perverts want to really get inside of me, giggity. But I just talk about training, so because it's AM Training. Today is week 4 of the Rippler program, and that whole intro kind of threw me off. Just letting you know that if you're not listening to those podcasts, that's kind of a shame, because they teach so much, along with reading and pretty much watching a bunch of YouTube. I mean, it's weird because I'm a YouTuber, but I don't watch too much YouTube because I don't have time. But definitely those sources are pretty awesome, and I do recommend. But let's go ahead and talk about my training. You just saw me squat and bench press, and like I said, this whole cycle is about the bench press, and it's feeling damn good. It flew. Pretty much I had 5 sets of doubles at 280, I think I remember, and pretty much felt really good. Felt like the bar path's going well, and and I have a new bench setup. The reason why I have a new bench setup is, like I said, I've been pretty much trying to learn everything I can so I can improve this poverty lift, and pretty much I'm going back to things that I've read before with Dave Tate. And one of the setups is pretty much trying to feel your neck and your upper traps really on the bench press, so you can have and remember that feeling. And that's what I gave my cue to. My cue is to really bridge up on that bench in order to feel that and maintain that throughout the whole way. And I think it's working. So I'm gonna cut this commentary short because it is hot in here, and as you can see, my lighting is YouTube lighting. You like that, guys? It's anyways, it's freaking hot right now, and I have to go in and train because it is pretty much dead press day, trying to concentrate on that starting strength, and all this reading I'm doing, I'm liking it because I feel like I can apply it and really focus on it. It's almost like when I was doing vertical jump training or kind of reading upon that, which anyone that wants to do like vertical jump training, I have one of my clients, they want to focus on their vertical jump. I recommended Kelly Baggett. He is a smart guy. He has a vertical jump Bible, and pretty much he says get stronger, train the stretch reflex, and same thing kind of applies to all the bench press reading, which you pretty much have that stretch shortening cycle, which is that reflexive strength, and then you also have that starting strength. So those are the two things that I'm applying with this cycle, with pretty much the touch and go and also the dead press. So hopefully let's get this lift going. What's up, guys? Welcome back. No, I think I already did that part. This is where I conclude everything. So I believe you just saw my dead press and deadlifts. It's a lifestyle. Also brought to you by my sponsor, Dingleberries and Dead Presses. Anyways, you just saw that, not my Dingleberries, but you saw my dead press. That's something that's really been helping out my bench press. I feel like I am having some pretty good speed at the bottom. I do hit kind of a little bit of a sticking point, so I think my next cycle of Rippler, I will have maybe some incline, closed grip bench press. We'll see how it goes. I'm also kind of interested in slowly getting into Olympic lifting. I feel like that is... it's always in the back of my mind, but it just feels really difficult and kind of humbling that I can squat 500 pounds, but I can't overhead press 135 comfortably. I can do it, but it's not comfortable. With you just seeing the deadlift, I believe my deadlifts were not as great. They definitely could have been better. I feel like they lacked lockout, so I definitely would have had 2 red lights and a white light if I competed in the USAPL, because my shoulders weren't retracted. Now that's the hard thing for me to kind of realize, is that back when I started lifting back in like 2006, I've read everything I can on the squat and the deadlift, not the bench. Fuck the bench. But anyways, I do want to say before I continue talking about the deadlift is that I have a new mentality that my favorite lift is the bench press, because I feel like I always bash it as, like, to me, is the red-headed Filipino child of the stepchild there. Anyways, it's not my favorite, but now this cycle is emphasizing it. It is my favorite. That's why I've been telling my clients, is sometimes it gets in your head where you hate a lift and you just don't want to progress it. You don't want to lift it. You don't want to learn all about it. So that's what I'm trying to do, learn all about it, and it's my favorite lift. So going back to the deadlift, we are saying, so when I started, first lifting, they didn't want you to retract your shoulder blades, at least from what all the sources I read, because it's more range of motion that you have to lift through. And that's, of course, more range of motion tends to be less weight on the bar. And you don't have to be an asshole where you like freaking hyperextend your back. And so I was never the guy that retracted my shoulder blades or hyperextend my back to really get that lockout. I figure you just kind of hump the bar is what the cue that I usually use, is really squeeze your glutes and try to crack that walnut while pretty much sitting up tall or standing up tall. And so with my deadlifts kind of not feeling the way they should have been, so 3 things I'm gonna do, which I'm gonna self-coach myself, which I think that I should kind of bring out my hands maybe an inch or 2 wider so I can really let my chest go through, because sometimes with this big manly chest, it's hard for me to kind of lead with my chest, because sometimes if you have too much of a close grip, or kind of a narrow grip in the sumo, you're going to be a little bit more forward, and the weight's going to be a little bit more forward rather than the center. So, and also you won't allow yourself to have your chest to go through. And with that being said, I am going to also lead with my chest. So sometimes I kind of purposely cut the range of motion, or kind of curve my upper back in order to cut the range of motion so I can lift more. But if I lead with my chest, my hips might go a little bit lower. It might be a little more difficult during the beginning of the pull, which tends to be normal. But I know when I start to round too much from my upper back, lockout tends to be a little bit rougher. Even though the start was pretty good. So I believe that is all I wanted to say. So make sure you like this video, you YouTube pervert, and train hard, train smart. But as you can see in the bar path here, my first rep is shit. It pretty much looks like I'm drawing pretty much a dildo. But if you look at my if you look at my second and third, that is pretty much a cleaner bar path, which it kind of makes a kind of a labia there. So good.